Alright, hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about ChessBase, and more so on the topic of not so much how to use the software, but should you or should you not buy it? Because if you watch my channel by now, you probably know what ChessBase is. It's basically sort of the standard premium software in the whole chess industry, you could call it. If you were to ask like just any random title player, like what software do you use? 99% chance they're going to say ChessBase. But of course there is a bit of a price tag to it. I have it up on the screen right now, £150. I translated that to US dollars, that's like 160. So some people that is going to be a bit of money and they're like, okay, I want to really make sure before I buy this is something that's worth getting. So of course, like I want to discuss for the people who aren't necessarily title players in this video, is this or is this not something worth getting? And so for context, by the way, I don't have the very latest version of ChessBase, which is ChessBase 17 as you see here. I have ChessBase 14. It functions perfectly fine though. It doesn't have any sort of like subscription based model. There are some like subscriptions you can buy, but just a program alone, there's no like, it's just a one-time purchase basically. And personally, I've been using ChessBase since 2017. That's when I bought it. I was around 14 years old at the time. I had an ELO or FIDE rating of 1962, I think. And before that, I used a somewhat similar program, but with less sort of functions and utilities in ChessBase called like Fritz something. I can't remember what number it was, like Fritz 12 or something like that. But basically, as of the time we are recording this video right now, it has been about 6 years since I first bought ChessBase 14 rather. And quite frankly, I'm not being sponsored or paid to make this video, but it has quite honestly been one of the single best purchases that I've made related to chess. But of course, if you're watching this video, you're wondering, is ChessBase right for you? And the very first thing I want to cover is what strength are you right now? I mentioned how I bought it when I was around 1900 FIDE. I think in general, like 1800 FIDE over the board rating, whatever. Once you're around that sort of level, I think it becomes very reasonable around that level that you should start to look into. Once you hit like 2000 FIDE or something like that, that's a level where in my opinion you should definitely be getting ChessBase, and it's like if you don't have it, you're really kind of missing out in my opinion. But say you're below like 1700 FIDE, 1800 FIDE, in that case I don't really think you need yet a lot of the functionality that ChessBase has to offer, and that you really have more to milk out of free resources like all the lead chess stuff and whatnot. Probably a bit early. Like yes, if you really want to get ChessBase, perfectly fine in my opinion. There's probably a lot of interesting stuff that you can get out of it, but a lot of the more advanced features probably aren't going to be all that useful to you just yet. But say you're within the rating range I just mentioned, you're like above 1700, 1800 FIDE, you're getting to that point where ChessBase, it's like, okay, maybe I want to get it, but still, like, what features does it really have to offer? That's what I'm going to be discussing in this part of the video. And so the very first one, the one that I really think is the most important, the one that really to me sticks out is like, and some people, you know, some like GM trainers who train these super GMs, they're going to probably laugh at this and be like, okay, kid, yeah, whatever, right? But in my opinion, this is the one that I've always found the most useful, just simply the online database feature here. It's going to load up now. And just see how we have like this huge database here, all these games down here. This is one of the most crucial features of ChessBase in my opinion, which if you're just using lead chess, you simply don't have. Because for example, lead chess on the side, it will have, oh, like this number of games was played, but you don't have the extensive list of games that ChessBase gives you here, which means say like you want to study some like position, like I don't know, let's put some moves on the board here. We can go to some like Queen's Gambit declined sort of position here. Say you want to study this sort of position here, and you want to look at some like model games to see how play can sort of develop, and you want to also maybe be able to like see what are the top players doing these days, what's the best sort of approach. But if you're using lead chess, you only actually have like the actual games that you can click through, like 8 or 10, but in ChessBase you can click through as many games as it says here. There's 7,500 games that have been played from this position, and if you filter like things correctly to scroll down enough here, you can basically find all of them, whereas in lead chess rather, it's only going to give you like the most recent ones by the very strongest players, where in ChessBase you can find ones played by like non-2700 players that weren't just played in like 2023, like this game we have up on the side here was 2014, played between some like French players here, one 2500, the other 2400. You can click through it, see what happened. You can make annotations if you want, you can save this to whatever files you want. Let's see what happened, not that it really matters, but okay, bishop c7 and white wins material, because if you go here, we go here, and okay, stuff happens. But that's not the point of this video, of course. But the beauty of this really is, just to really be clear, is that there's no limit to how many games you can look at in essence. In lead chess, it's like you can sort of look through more games if you like go like one move deeper each time, right? It's like you'll get access to maybe slightly different games because other games will get filtered out. But that's not really great, because that essentially means there's going to be a whole portion of games, the majority of games that are being played from these positions, you're simply not going to have access to. Once again, it's going to be that very limited small pool of games played in the last year or so by these like 2700 GMs. And you don't really, once again, get a say in like what games are shown to you. They might all be losses for the side that you want to play. Like say you want to play this from the white side, it might just be a bunch of draws. It might be a bunch of black wins. Maybe it's a bunch of white wins, but you don't really get a say over that. In ChessBase, you can filter for the result here. If you click here, it will take a second. You get a bunch of white wins first. You can filter for black wins. You can not filter for draws, apparently. I didn't know that, but you can just see how this is useful. You can also filter by year, so you can get a bunch of old games if you want. You can filter by the latest ones. You can filter by white elo, so you can get the very strongest players. You can filter by black elo. Once again, Carlson popping up here a bunch. And all of these features are just sort of like the icing on the cake, right? The real beauty is just being able to click through a game, quickly play through it, go to another game, pick up more ideas, right? Whereas once again in Lichess, you just can't do that. And also I should mention the games in the online database on ChessBase tend to be a lot higher quality. Yes, there's like Title Tuesday games in there, some like Blitz, bullet games of like very strong players, but it's not like, say, the classical portion of games in Lichess here. Those games are, I mean, because they're online, they're just a lot lower quality. Whereas for games to get into ChessBase, they're generally sort of like OTB, like tournament games. So the general quality is going to be higher. They're not just some like random anonymous players online. Also, another feature that I really like about ChessBase is that, well, with regards to engines, the depth goes a lot higher compared to like when you're on some online Lichess server or chess.com. Generally, the depth doesn't go that high. And I don't know, maybe on chess.com, if you have some like diamond membership or something, it does go a bit higher. But at least on like Lichess, from what I know, it only goes up to like depth 26 or something. Whereas in ChessBase, the depth can go much higher because, well, you're on your own PC, you're not constrained to whatever the servers allow you to go to. And you can also choose to use whatever engine you use. I mean, I personally just use Stockfish, so I guess in essence it's the same as like Lichess or whatever. But you can use, if you want to use like Lena or something, Ribka, whatever engines are out there that you want to use, it's up to you, right? And like with the depth thing, that might seem a little bit irrelevant, but if you want to do like some serious opening study again, like if you're above 2000, it would start making some sense, right? Like it would help, say all your competitors were just using some depth like 20 engine on Lichess or something, and you have access to that higher depth. I mean, is it gonna like be the game changer in your results? Probably not, but it's definitely one of those things which gives you that little bit of an extra edge and can definitely help. And by the way, my screen is just slightly cut off here. If you were able to see a bit below here, you would be able to see the lines Stockfish gives as well. I just have it cut off here where you can see the depth here and eval. Alright, and so for the final feature, by the way, this is the day later after I record the first portion of this video. I tried to record this yesterday, but it just wasn't working for some reason. As I was trying to edit the video, I realized there was some stuff. So anyways, here, what is going on here? So the final feature I really wanted to discuss, and this is probably one of the more advanced ones, but it's one that I wish I really found out how to use earlier, and if I knew how to use, I could have gotten a lot more benefit from ChessBase. And that's basically, if you have some sort of database here, I'm using the mega database. This does cost like €100 or something like that for a whole year. That is for the year it allows you to keep renewing. Like this expired a while ago, but I still have the games I had from a couple years ago. It's just I can't keep renewing it to add on all the new games. But anyways, here, basically given this database here, I have a bunch of stuff I can do. There's a couple tabs here, like game data, annotations, position, blah, blah, blah. The two main ones that I really care about are position and material. If you meddle around with some material, for example, let's say you want to study rook endgames. If you put up the rooks, you want to study endgames with one rook, you could do that here for both sides here. Or maybe you also want to add endgames in with two rooks here for both sides. You could also do that. You can also manipulate the amount of pawns both sides have, etc, etc. You could also, the one that I really like is position here, and let's say there's a certain pawn structure you want to study. Let's say there's some very close structure here that can arise in some like King's Indian positions, for example, with pawns on c4, d5, e4 for white, and e5, d6, c5 for black here. By the way, apologies here, it doesn't show the pieces for some reason on the board when you do the filter like this. It shows the letters instead. I wish they could fix that, honestly. It'd be a bit more pleasant to look at and less confusing. But nonetheless, here, if we fill in the rest of the stuff here, and then we, after doing this, click OK here, we are going to be able to filter the database such that the only games that are going to come up are ones with this exact pawn structure on the board. And we could also change this slightly. Let's say we want like a black pawn on a6 instead of a7. We could also do that. And if we click OK here, as we are going to do now, ChessBase is going to do its magic. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to load. It says 6 minutes right now. It's probably going to speed up a little bit though. It usually, for around a structure like this, will take about 1 minute. But anyways, I'll join back with you guys once it's done. Alright, and so it is finished filtering now, and we essentially have this long list of games which could basically provide an endless source of study for this pawn structure, which is really amazing because you can't do this kind of stuff in Lichess or any other kind of free platform that I'm aware of at least. And like, yes, you could use like a book to help you study the structure, but if you want to go beyond that book, because a lot of the times these books will provide the most sort of clear-cut examples to really illustrate the ideas nicely, which has its utility. Don't get me wrong, and also not to mention, for example, there's a book, Chess Structures, a Grandmaster Guide, that doesn't necessarily cover every single pawn structure that you could be getting. And once again, even beyond that, it's like, it is good to have these additional study materials, especially for someone of my level, which makes features like these particularly useful. And for example here, we could just click on some random game here. This one was played by Petrosian, and it basically brings us straight to this position where we have the structure that we had in the filter on here. And basically, we can even go back to the start to see how this structure arose briefly if we really wanted to. Then we can look deeper into the middle game, discover some maybe typical ideas here. And then we can iterate this by clicking load next game, do it again here, see what some ideas are. Okay, next game, you might want to look in a bit more detail than I am right now and actually properly think things through. But nonetheless, if you just do this a lot, then you are actually going to pick up a lot of thematic ideas and improve your overall middle game understanding. But nonetheless here, that's pretty much it for this video. That's all I wanted to say about ChessBase. I hope this has helped you come to a conclusion of whether or not you think it is necessary for yourself. But regardless, if you enjoyed the video here, please like it and also subscribe to the channel for more useful content like this, and leave a comment down below if there's any other content you want to see from me in the future. But anyways, hope you guys all have a good day.